Hello everyone, it's Thumper the Rabbit. Answering a user request today from Naim Herrera on YouTube. Asked, is there a way to hook up one turret with door controllers and a smart alarm to two sensors? Naim commented that they've already tried to do it with a smart alarm and one sensor and got it to work, but with the second sensor, it doesn't activate the turret or the door controller. So usually when I hear that description, when you have more than one sensor being used, I'm going to assume you're talking about HBHF sensor. It's because HBHF sensors only put out the number of power units of the number of people they're detecting. So assuming it's just one person walking by, you're only going to get 1 unit of power out no matter how much you're putting in. And that's not going to be enough to run your circuits. And it's not going to be enough to power more than one logic device, which would be required to manage the logic of having two HBHF sensors. Now, you could do this where both of them have to be triggered. More commonly, I'm going to assume you want either of these two sensors to trigger your circuit. So we're going to need an OR switch in the mix. So let's build out what you're trying to power first and work backwards. So let's start with the turret, the smart alarm, and the door controllers. And I'm just going to assume 2 here, but you'll see at the end you could add more smart alarms or more door controllers. It'll only affect how much total power you need. So here's what you're trying to trigger, and here's what you're triggering with. And we know we're going to need an OR switch because you're going to want to use either of these. Now here's the rub. The way you could get enough power is by saying, put an AND switch in here. Use test generator as my source. And you would run power into the AND switch, and you'd use either of these to go through the OR switch and trigger this. Well, if you're used to using power, you know that the OR switch itself uses 1 unit of power, so it eats up the 1 unit that comes out of either of these. Which means the only way it's going to trigger this circuit is if one of these sees 2 people and sends 2 units of power through. Well, that's not what you want. So we need enough power coming through. We're going to have to add in more power here so that these have enough in combination to trigger all the way through the OR switch into the AND switch. And we do that again by using AND switches so that we can stack some power. So I'm going to give each of these an AND switch. So each of these HBHFs is going to come into an AND switch, and it's going to use its 1 unit of power to make these true. Then the AND switches will send through whatever power they have coming in, and what we need them to send out is 2 units. 1 to power the OR switch, and 1 left over to trigger the AND switch to start our circuit. So let's, I'm going to need a bunch of branches here. I know some people love splitters more. I don't like not having the control. So I'm going to go ahead and do it with some branches. So a branch for that AND switch, a branch for this AND switch. The remaining is going to go into this AND switch, and then we're going to need, I'm just going to use branches over here. 1 to power the door controller, 1 to power this door controller, 1 to power the smart alarm, and the leftover will go into the turret. They move this over so they're not quite as close. Okay, so here's how we're going to wire this up. Test generator power is going to come in here, and then we're going to split a set amount of power off that we're going to use to run these 2 HBHFs. Now they actually are going to need 1 unit for themselves, 1 unit for this, and 1 to trigger this to trigger the OR switch. Actually, they only need, I take that back. They only need enough to power through the AND switch to trigger the OR switch. So you need 3 units, technically 3 units of power for each of these. So that's 3 there. We need 3 here, which means 7 total coming into here. So I'm going to make this 7. And now we have enough. If I turn these on, you'll see you have enough power coming through. I might be a liar there. I guess we only really need 2 here. Alright, yeah. It's down to 5. Don't need quite that much power. Okay, so you just need 2 coming out of each of these branches, and 5 because you need 2 for here, 2 for here, and 1 unit for the branch. Sorry about that. Okay, now we're going to bring our leftover power to this branch, and we're going to branch off 2 units of power into this AND switch, so that when it's triggered, it will have this 2 minus 1, leaves 1 left over, and that 1 left over is what's going to trigger the OR switch. Same scenario here. We need 2 units of power coming in, so that there's 1 left over to come over and trigger the OR switch. So you can leave those in their default. The rest of the power comes over to this AND switch, and then we take the output of this OR switch to the other side of the AND switch. So if either of these is on, so I'll turn one off. If either of these is on, then that triggers the AND switch, which causes the AND switch to send the 2 units through. That 2 units goes through here. Either of them hits the OR switch. It eats 1. That leaves 1 left over to trigger this AND switch. The AND switch is triggered and it sends through the larger of the 2 amounts, which in this case is 88. And there you go. Plenty of power to run your circuit. You branch off 2 for the door controller, that's plenty. 2 for this door controller, that's plenty. 2 for the smart alarm, that's plenty. And then we're going to have a boatload left over. Let's hook up the remainders. And you'll see we end up with 79 units. Holy cow. So that means minus 1188. So we can come back here and change our power source. Actually only needs, is it 32? Yep, that's right. So 11 to run the turret. I'm also assuming here that you wanted 11 going to the turret so you could use its outputs. And you could hook this up to other devices like a smart alarm for telling you low ammo or whatever. If you don't need that, then you can take this down by 1. Here's where if you need more door controllers, you can add 2 more to your power source and add another, or sorry, 3 more to your power source and add another door controller. 1 for the branch and enough left over, the 2 left over to power the door controller. So this is how this circuit would work. And you only need 32 units of power to do this, which is great, because you can do that with a small generator, a medium battery, 2 solar panels. Any of those combinations would be enough to get the 32 you need to run this whole circuit. And you still have that 1 left over, so just for grins, throw a smart alarm on here, and we'll just throw it on the no ammo, so that way if you run out of ammo, it will send you an alert and say, hey, I'm out of ammo. So this will tell you that the circuit's been triggered. That smart alarm basically tells you somebody triggered one of your HBHFs and powered everything up, and this would trigger and tell you you're out of ammo. You could just hook up another for low. You could also use target if you wanted to, instead of putting it down here, and then you'd know it actually has a target and didn't just open. But either way. So again, couple of assumptions. I'm assuming you mean sensors as HBHF. I'm assuming you want either of them, not both of them, to be required to trigger the circuit. And I'm assuming you want an extra unit of power here to power the turret's outputs. But in that case, that's how it would work. And I will save this configuration for you and put it in the description. Good luck and don't suck.